Hi, and welcome back to Munamind, where we tackle topics surrounding education, child development, and global issues that shape our world. But before we dive in, I want to give a huge shout out to Horrido Hobbies for suggesting today's topic, who left a comment saying the following. The Belt and Road Initiative has helped more than 150 countries build their economy. These countries are very grateful for China's assistance. I suggest you do a deep dive into the Belt and Road Initiative. So that's exactly what we're doing today. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and save this video so you can share it with your friends. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, the Belt and Road Initiative is literally the largest infrastructure and investment project in human history. We're talking about over 1 trillion invested across more than 150 countries spanning Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. China is building roads, railways, ports, power plants, and digital infrastructure on 6 continents simultaneously. That's never been done before in this scale. Since 2013, China has signed cooperation agreements with 152 countries and 32 international organizations. That's roughly 3/4 of all countries on Earth participating in some form. Here's what the numbers look like. China has invested over 200 billion in BRI related construction. They've completed railway projects connecting China to Europe, trains that can travel from Beijing to London. They've built or upgraded over 100 ports. They're constructing power plants, doubling electrical capacity in some African nations. They've laid thousands of miles of fiber optic cables connecting continents. The economic impact? Between 2013 and 2023, trade between China and BRI countries exceeded $19 trillion. Chinese companies have created over 420,000 local jobs, and estimates suggest that BRI could lift 7.6 million people out of extreme poverty. Let me give you concrete examples. In Pakistan, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor brought over $60 billion in infrastructure investment, highways, power plants, and a massive port transforming Pakistan's economy. In Kenya, the Standard Gauge Railway cut travel time between Nairobi and Mombasa from 12 hours to under 5 hours. In Greece, after China's COSCO took over Piraeus port in 2016, it went from 93rd ranked globally to 32nd. The digital Silk Road is bringing internet connectivity to places that never had it. China is building data centers, laying undersea cables, installing 5G networks across Africa and Asia. For countries where less than 30% had internet access, this is basically life-changing. The investment is staggering. The China Development Bank alone committed over $250 billion. The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank has approved over $43 billion. But here's where things get a little bit complicated. Behind these numbers are serious concerns experts are raising. The biggest concern? Debt. Sri Lanka is the most famous example. They borrowed heavily to build Hambantota port, couldn't repay, and leased the port to China for 99 years. That raised alarm bells about debt trap diplomacy. China deliberately lending to countries that can't repay, then taking strategic assets when they default. At least 23 BRI countries now carry unsustainable debt levels. Countries like Djibouti, Laos, Maldives, Montenegro have debt to GDP ratios approaching or exceeding 60% owed to China. Pakistan's debt to China reached over $27 billion. Malaysia suspended several BRI projects in 2018 over debt concerns. There are concerns about transparency and environmental impact as well. Many projects lack environmental assessments. Coal-fired power plants raise climate questions. And that's not all. There are concerns about transparency and environmental impact. Many projects lack environmental assessments, and coal-fired power plants raise climate questions. Cases exist of projects displacing communities without compensation. And to make things worse, labor practices are very questioned. Some projects primarily employ Chinese workers rather than locals. The main geopolitical concern is that critics argue BRI is about expanding China's political influence and creating dependencies. Not to mention the concerns about strategic assets like ports potentially used for military purposes. Interestingly, some countries are pushing back. Malaysia renegotiated better terms. Italy, the first G7 country to join in 2019, withdrew in 2023, saying it didn't deliver expected benefits. Western countries launched competing initiatives: the G7's Build Back Better World and EU's Global Gateway. And before I wrap up, quick mention. If you want evidence-based activities to support your child's development at home, check out munamind.com. Link in the description. So, what's my take on it? The Belt and Road Initiative is genuinely one of the most ambitious economic projects ever attempted. The scale and physical infrastructure being built is reshaping the global economy. For countries needing infrastructure that couldn't get funding elsewhere, BRI has delivered real benefits: roads, railways, ports, power plants improving lives and creating opportunities. But this isn't simple, generous development assistance. Debt concerns are real. Transparency issues are legitimate. Geopolitical implications require careful consideration. China identified a massive gap and stepped in to fill it in a way serving their strategic interests while delivering real benefits. The question isn't whether BRI is having impact. It clearly is. The question is whether it's sustainable, whether terms are fair, and whether countries are making deals with eyes fully open to benefits and risks. The next decade is crucial in determining whether BRI becomes a model for global development or whether debt concerns prove as serious as critics fear. This initiative is reshaping the global economic order, and we're all affected by how this unfolds. And that brings us to the end. If this changed how you think about global economics and China's role, please hit that subscribe button. I'm building a community wanting evidence-based insights about global issues, education, and child development. And I'd love for you to be part of that journey. What do you think? Drop a comment. Is the Belt and Road Initiative a win-win for global development, or are concerns about debt and influence justified? I genuinely read every comment, and your thoughts inspire our next videos, just like Horrido Hobbies with this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.